What's up, co-reporters, and welcome back to my channel. It's time for a recap of what went down on this week's episode of Teen Mom Next Chapter. Per usual, I streamed the show using Philo, and if you'd like to watch Teen Mom Next Chapter online as well, I've got an affiliate link in the comment section down below so that you can sign up for a Philo account to stream the Teen Mom Next Chapter or pretty much any other reality show that you enjoy watching. And it's a free sign up, by the way. So shout out to Philo for that. I actually thought it was a rather good episode. On a scale from 1 to 10, I would give it probably like a 7 as far as Teen Mom episodes go anyway. And my favorite part was that Amber Portwood actually finally accepted that her daughter wants nothing to do with her. It's not some sort of conspiracy cooked up by Gary and Christina, and it just is what it is. I hope this means that she's going to back off and stop coming in and out of her daughter's life, but who knows, right? So we pick up the episode listening to Cheyenne's full phone call with Ashley, and I was rather surprised that Ashley agreed to meet up with Cheyenne after all of the things that Cheyenne had said about her. I personally would have been suspicious of her timing, given that, you know, she's reaching out in the middle of filming and whatnot. And of course, she's going to be bringing cameras to the meetup, but I digress. Meanwhile, TERESA and CATELYNN are at odds as we watch play out over the internet and social media this past summer. It turns out that TERESA told CATELYNN that the way that she speaks about her family online is hurtful and she wants to cut contact moving forward. And TERESA actually even complained to Dawn about all of the gifts that CATELYNN and Tyler had been sending to the house. Apparently, they were sending way too many things. It was a little bit egregious. And so Kate says, okay, well, you know, she wants to cut contact with me. I'm not allowed to send gifts. So what if I just like every 2 weeks or so start sending updates about, you know, what we're doing with our kids and in life and whatnot. And those things are going unanswered as well. And I was a little bit overwhelmed just seeing all of the things happening because it is a lot, right? When people say that they want to cut contact with you and like they kind of want you to slow down and to stop doing things. And so you start kind of just like talking to yourself, basically constantly sending them updates that they kind of said that they wanted to take a step back from. It wasn't great, right? And so when they're in this meeting at this restaurant meeting up with Dawn, Tyler claims that Brandon and TERESA chose to close an open adoption without explanation. But to me, it sounded like they gave 2 explanations, right? So when it comes to cutting like actual contact with them, TERESA said that she doesn't like the way that CATELYNN and Tyler speak about them on the internet and whatnot and in interviews. And so she wants to cut contact for that reason moving forward. And then when it comes to like the gifts and no longer wanting to accept them, they're saying that CATELYNN and Tyler are sending too many gifts. And so they want to take a step back from that as well. So to me, it feels like there were, you know, at least 2 explanations given for why they wanted to kind of take a step back from it all. But hey, listen, when you are just so emotional and heated about all of this, like you're not able to look at it with a clear head the way that, you know, you and I are able to look at it because we're just outsiders to this who are not personally affected by the situation, right? Meanwhile, in Indiana, Gary doesn't want Amber Portwood involved in the car buying process for his daughter, Leah, because Amber, once again, ghosted them all ever since her breakup from Gary. So when she's in a relationship, she ghosts them. When she's single, she ghosts them. When she's going through a breakup, she ghosts them. And each one has a completely different reason for why, right? There's always a reasonable explanation from Amber. You know, I need time to focus on my relationship without being judged, so I can't talk to my daughter. Oh, I'm going through a breakup. I have a heartbreak, you know, I can't talk to my daughter while I'm brokenhearted. Like, it's always something. And they talk about it not being worth it to force a relationship between Leah and Amber, a relationship that Leah doesn't want. And I'm like, thank God, finally, because we watched them do quite a bit of damage to Leah over the years by trying to force this sort of a relationship and watching Leah not want it, and then Amber letting Leah down time and time again. Like, I feel like that door should have been closed a long time ago, but listen, the second best time to close it is now. So I'm glad that that is what they are doing moving forward. Now, meanwhile, at her place, deadbeat Portwood is refusing to film, but demanding a pregnancy test be brought to her. This is so rude, but the first thing I said is, now, why the hell didn't this girl get her tubes tied after the second child? She obviously does not like children. She obviously has no desire to be like an actual mom to these kids. So why not just get the damn tubes tied, get on birth control, get the implant, the shot, something, so that you stop birthing kids that you are not going to take care of and that you are just going to lose custody of, right? Like, they're always the most fertile people. Stop it, you know? Anyway, now there was something that, oh my God, it shocked me. And I apologize in advance for the photos I'm about to show. Like, fast forward a couple seconds if you were like, you know, weak of stomach, because I was not expecting it. Mackenzie's father was supposed to like come accompany her on this thing that she was going to do for like fertility reasons. And so he's packing his stuff. And so he tosses his bag. So he tosses his bag full of things, you know, away. And in one of his, and this is the weirdest thing I ever heard. I said, what the hell is this? So in his bag was some hunting gear. And apparently he hunts with a bow and arrow. And I don't know how this is even possible, but one of the arrows, was it teed up or something in the bag? I don't know. One of the arrows, when the thing gets dropped, it ricochets against the wall through his arm. And so when she's saying this, I said, oh, like, you know, that's weird. I'm not understanding, you know, did it graze his arm, something? Then they show photos. It literally looked like a murder scene. I have never seen anything like that. Like, from a bow and arrow to, holy cow. And I imagine it had to be a really sturdy arrow because he's using it on animals, right? Wow. That was shocking. It truly, truly was. Oh my God. I truly gasped when they showed the photos. I commend Mackenzie's mom, not her mom, her sister. I commend Mackenzie's sister for being able to stay calm and to help him out and get him help, because he lost so much blood. They said 3 more minutes and he would have been done for. I would have been shaking, freaking out, trembling, fainting, just anything but being useful in that sort of a situation. So I cannot underscore enough how incredibly she handled that to save his life. Meanwhile, in Nevada, Ashley sits down with her mom to tell her about her plans to meet up with Cheyenne. And I gotta say, I do like that Ashley called out some of Cheyenne's microaggressions against her when she was talking about why she didn't like her, right? So in Cheyenne's defense, I don't like girls that spit either, you know, like, you know. But then at the same time, I don't run around flipping tables, screaming and this and that, the way that Cheyenne has, right? So to see the playbacks of things I completely forgot about, right? The way Cheyenne, when she was mad at Farrah, she was like, I'm flipping the table, with her little frog voice. I'm flipping the table, Farrah. Don't mess with me. You want to see big and bad, you know? And then when she would be pissed off at her husband, Zach, back in their dating days, like there's a time where she's super drunk at this party and then he is too, and she wants him out. She's like, I want them the F out of here. Tell Zach and his friends to leave. And then when she was pregnant, do you remember when he was pissed off that he couldn't hear, like, you know, she didn't bring out the phone when they were hearing the heartbeat, and then she just gets up in his face in the car and she's screaming in his face and being super, you know, aggressive towards him. Ashley's like, she did all that sort of thing, and then she acted like this is the first time she has seen violence or a fight or anything like that. Like, come on now. When she was acting that way, I never spoke out about her or against her. So I didn't appreciate her doing it to me. And I said, you know what? Hell yeah. Go ahead, Ashley. Call it out. Meanwhile, up north in Indiana, Christina crying over Leah growing up and being able to drive was so cute. And it's just crazy to think that she had been there in her life since preschool. Holy cow. She's been with Gary for ages. Honestly, I don't know how Gary was able to maintain such a long-term relationship, because that guy seemed like a nightmare in his relationship with Amber and in his relationship with Christina and in it, like, in general, his relationship with his mom. Do y'all remember his being Gary special? Like, that guy gets off on driving people nuts. I would not be able to last a week with that man. So congrats, Christina, on surviving 16, especially when he was cheating on your ass too, girl. Like, you are a saint. Could not be me. That is a long ass time, but okay. Now, next up in Nevada, Cheyenne and Ashley sit down, and Cheyenne announces that Zach took over her dad's office. What's the difference between taking over an office and taking over a business? Just asking. So apparently he's been working a lot for the first time in his life. And they talk about how Ashley has never chosen to press charges against Barr, despite all the DV incidents that they have had in their relationship. And Ashley then takes a moment like, on her own volition, right, to apologize to Cheyenne for the comments that she made, claiming that Cheyenne used her shooting/car accident as a cover up in order to get like a mommy makeover. And I thought that was really big of her, because she could have just like, ignored it and relished in the fact that she was like, the victim here. But no, she's like, you know what, I'm going to take this opportunity to truly wipe that slate clean with you. And I think that that says a lot about Ashley. And so I'm really liking her. Again, I did think that perhaps the cloud of just being in such a toxic, draining relationship is what was making her so hostile towards people. And now that is gone, she has like, the clouds have parted, the sun is out, the birds are chirping, the rainbow is rainbowing. And, I love it for her. I'm really, really happy. And, Cheyenne even asked, like, do you think your anger, stemmed from your toxic relationship? And so she said, yeah, it did. So I'm not surprised, right? It be like that, y'all. It be like that. Now, meanwhile, in, what is it, Florida? No, where was it? Where's she from? Midwest, somewhere in the Midwest. Mackenzie's dad thankfully survived that freak accident, and he can move his fingers. They were worried that like he was going to lose his arms or his fingers or something like that, but he can move them. Thank God. And then we flip on back to Michigan, where CATELYNN and Tyler are still talking about their issues with Brandon and TERESA with Dawn. And they say that it brings up PTSD for them. Tyler calls Brandon and TERESA childish for blocking their number, and Dawn calls them out for setting people up with their comments on social media to attack Brandon and TERESA on social media. And because you do see a lot of comments like that where people say, well, you're Carly's real parent, she's going to come back and choose you. And so obviously Brandon and TERESA, who have raised Carly her whole life, do not appreciate that. And then they say, okay, well, we're leaving the door open. Even though the parents want to cut contact, we just want to make sure that Carly knows the door is open and she can come reach out to us. And Dawn says that she's putting a lot of pressure on teenage Carly's shoulders. And I kind of feel like, isn't that just like a footnote that you put in a file? Like, hey, your birth parents wish to be contacted, or they're open to it, or they're not. Like, to me, I don't see how that is putting pressure on Carly, but maybe there's something else there that like was cut out. The context was missing or something. And then CATELYNN says that she won't stop sending gifts over to that house if the only reason that Brandon and TERESA want her to stop is because of their own insecurities. And I'm like, girl, that might be harassment. People could tell you to stop sending them or contacting them things or whatever for any reason that they wish to, right? And you do have to abide by that. Again, I truly understand the issues that CATELYNN and Tyler have with everything, right? They were so young, too young to really, truly, fully understand what they were getting themselves into with this adoption. And in the playback clips, you did see them talking about how they wanted to send gifts for every holiday, every birthday, everything, right? So it is a bit shocking that these people who told you everything you wanted to hear to get a child out of you, right? The agency, their job is to give children to people. And then Brandon and TERESA, their job, or their motive was to have a child, right? So these people did have a vested interest in whispering sweet nothings into these people's ears to get what they wanted out of them. So I get the anger, I get the hostility, right? Like they did say they wanted it to be like an open situation. They wanted to visit all the time. They wanted to get, like, no one really put them in check all those years ago. And so it is painful and shocking, and just, you're like, what the hell is happening? You're so confused. So I get it, right? And when they were having their issues, CATELYNN and Tyler on social media last year, they were saying that they were never even given a lawyer to help them look over these things. Like this was not a good system. It really, really wasn't, right? So I do applaud them for speaking out and being open about the issues, the holes in this process, right? And falling victim to the situation, and just reminding people that adoption is not always sunshine and daisies and rainbows. There is always a loss when it comes to adoption, right? The birth parent loses the child loses a connection to their biological family, and then the people adopting the child, they're typically, suffering from their own loss. Maybe they've lost other children, pregnancies, something, right? Like there's always something going on. And then the other issue, or the other heartbreak that they have, is just always having this anxiety that like the child is going to, want to go back to their birth family or this or that, right? Especially in situations where it's like cross-cultural adoptions or something like that, not doing a good enough job of exposing them to their culture, right? So it's very, very difficult. And I like that they're showing this side of things, because at first, for the first couple of years, oh, it's great. Yeah, like we miss our daughter and everything, but we know this was for the best interest. But now, years later, we're getting into the nitty gritty. And I really do appreciate them showing this like kind of underbelly of the entire system, right? Or industry. Because at the end of the day, adoption is a business like any other business. And meanwhile, over in Indiana, it is time for Leah to be surprised with her car. So cute how they even involved her little sister honking that horn, although she did honk it a little too damn much. Gary had to be like, Emily, it's all good, stop it. And I like how they cut to her. She's like, she's really, really cute. So that was nice. And Leah's super excited and of course happy about it. And so she gets in the car. She's like, Mom, like, come with me. And then Christina's like, oh, she never wants to go anywhere without me. We're a pair. And I was like, oh, be still, my beating heart. They are just such an adorable duo. God bless them for real. And I'm so happy for Leah that she has this. Then here comes Dead Wheat Portwood, y'all. Oh my God. Now we're stuck in her musty house. And I just know that house smells like hairy ass, like just ew, And so here come her excuses of why she never has any energy to see her child. Meanwhile, she's asking for pregnancy tests because she's boinking with people. How do you have energy to see random men but no energy to see your child? Riddle me that, Portwood. Riddle me that. You are a damn mess. I'm so sick of your excuses. Like, come on now, come on. So she says that she is traumatized by her last victim, Gary's disappearance, and everyone thinking that she offed him. I'm sorry, but that was funny. Because we were serious too. We were like, oh no, this is like, she really must have done it this time. Like, she is crazy. She is violent. She is unstable. Like, did she really do that? So the fact that she's shocked and traumatized that people would think that of her after like her long history of like being capable or just like being a violent person is a little bit insane to me, right? If you can allegedly wield a machete and try to cut through a door with it when a man is holding your baby, your literal baby on the other side, you're capable of anything, boo. You are. Okay, so cut the act. At this point, y'all, we've got to get this girl off the show now that she has finally accepted that Leah wants to go no contact with her. And she already has like no custody of her son. She only sees him like a handful of days per year. So what is she doing on the show? I think I would prefer to just stick with Christina and Gary kind of taking over her slot, because that's what they did mainly for this episode. And I think they've done a great job. And I'm looking forward to seeing what's happening there when it comes to that storyline versus Amber and her 1,000,001 excuses. Okay. I would like to see the extra budget that they save from not paying Amber used on counseling for the kids, or perhaps like a big guilt machine for Christy, who I miss, by the way. Where's Christy and Jade? Like, I'm waiting for these girls. Where are they? Where's Brianna? Come bring me that mess. Now, I got to say, I'm very heartbroken for Caitlyn and Tyler. And I do hope that they eventually get to have a relationship with Carly in the future. But I do think that they need to stop speaking so poorly about Brandon and Teresa publicly, right? I think they can share their heartbreak and the difficulties that they're having with adoption in a way that doesn't disrespect Carly's parents, because it's going to be really difficult for Carly to want to have a relationship with you, or to be able to have a good relationship with you, if you have an ugly relationship with her parents. You guys are her biological parents. They're her parents, so imagine one day, if Carly's got a graduation, from university or college or whatever, and she's like in her 20s, and so she invites you and she invites them, and there's just all this tension. I think she would prefer to just not invite you maybe than to have that tension. So I think continue to speak up about how difficult being a birth parent is. I think that's a wonderful thing that they're doing, but be careful when it comes to the way that they speak about Brandon and Teresa, okay? Now, we close out the episode with Cheyenne flashing what appears to be a positive pregnancy test, and the episode kind of ends there. I'm like, I don't really look at these people's social media like that, so I don't remember seeing anything or hearing any chatter about her being pregnant. So I really, am a little bit nervous for the storyline. I hope everything goes well. And yeah, we kind of end off here Guys, how did you feel about this episode? We're only 2 episodes in so far, but like I said, I actually really enjoyed it and I want to know what y'all thought. So please make sure to leave all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. And as usual, we'll chat. Don't forget, I do have a link in the description box for a streaming service called Philo that you can use to go ahead and watch the full episode of Teen Mom Next Chapter as well, online for free. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see y'all in my next video. Bye now.